Welcome back to the Artefactors Union. I am your host, Informant Doug the Scoundrels, and today we are assembling the Strangerskeep box for the Resurrectionist faction, the Forgotten and Red Chapel keywords. Box contains two models, although one of them is effectively three models. One being the Strange Lady, this fine woman over here, and then the Keepside Strangers, this trio of nerds. That is our artwork. Looking at the renders on the back, Strange Lady with the snakes and the bazongas, and then the Keepside Strangers being stoic. I forgot the word stoic. Anyways, let's move on to looking at the sprues. And this is what we're looking at. The Strange Lady is here, looking to be about 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 bits. Something like that. And then Keepside Strangers are first the gentleman on top, which looks to be 5 bits, then 4 bits for this lady, and 5 bits for this lady. All in all, looks to be fairly simple, but I could definitely be wrong. Let's look at the instructions for the Strange Lady first, and then go over our assembly order. Okay, first we're going to grab the entire back of the body, which is A6. Then we'll add A7, which is most of the front of her body, followed by A1, which is the leg that is sticking out, and then we'll wrap up pretty much the entire body with A2. Then we can go and plop her down on A3, which is stuff she is standing on top of, and then we can do the right arm, the left arm, and the head, A8. Right, let's pop out A7, and A6, and A7. Okay, here we go. A6, A7 is going to basically be covering up the entire torso, and the strip is going to go along here on her right side, our left. Okay, there it is attached. And now we can do A1, the leg, which is going to attach right here in this crevice. We got a leg. Sweet. All right. Our rest of our skirt, A2, is going to fill in this big gap right here. Oof, that is a tight fit, but it looks real good. Wasn't too hard to put in or anything, so I don't think our assembly order is really going to change anything. Or changing the assembly order is not going to help. Let's go ahead and do her. Well, let me look at this real quick. All right, we're looking at A3. Then A3, the next bit we are going to add, and it is basically the bottom of her skirt. This right here is actually going to be her left foot, so keep that in mind as far as orientation goes. And this is the bottom we're looking at, so this is what we'll be attaching into the mini, and it's going to fit right along this groove. There it is. Looking good. It's got some snakes. Okay, last 3 bits. Let's see. Do A4 the right arm, A5 the left arm, and then A8 the head. A4 is going to be coming out of the shoulder right here. Okay, you're going to want to check this seam back here to really get a guide idea of how it's supposed to fit in there. Also, a word of caution, the fingers are very thin and fragile, as well as a lot of the snakes coming off, or be very careful with them. That's where the difficulty lies, and don't accidentally snap something off. Right, A5, the left arm in there. This one gave me just a little bit more difficulty because I wasn't sure of the angle, but not, checking the render was enough to give me a good idea of how it's supposed to go in, but also an idea is that these two snakes are supposed to be roughly the same, pointed in the same direction, kind of in the same shape, not mirroring each other, but looking very similar, I guess, in orientation. Yeah, that's the word, orientation. So that's what we got to do. Just rotate it until you get this image, and you should be fine. A8 the face, our last bit. And there we've got a face. She's all done. Put her on a base. And the Strange Lady is all complete. And I would say the hardest part for her, really less so an actual bit as part of the assembly. I'd say, well, The left arm be the hardest part of assembly, but overall, the actual hardest part is not snapping anything off when you're putting her together or clipping her bits off the sprues. Those fingers are very thin, those snakes are very thin. You gotta be cautious if you want to keep her intact. Well, that's it for advice. Let's move on to the Enforcer. Okay, we're gonna just work from the top and go down. Our first Keepside Stranger is going to be the gentleman. We'll just take his legs, jam them into his torso, then do, I believe, the left arm, followed by the right arm and both hands, and finish with the head, B5. Then going down here, I believe we are going to scroll through back up to the instructions, right? Take the body, both halves of them, combine them together, and then we will do the right arm and the left arm. That'll be it for her. And then for our last one, I believe we can combine both halves of the lower half, then both halves of the upper half, and then glue them together. That might change, who knows. And we'll finish with the hands, D1. All right, so just gonna go straight across the row first. Oh, I forgot to say, let's look at the instructions. B1, the legs. Now let's add B4, the torso. Okay, easy enough to do. Now let's do B2, which is going to be our left arm, going right in there. We don't got a hand yet because that is attached to B3, but B2 looks good and in the right position. B3 will attach in the shoulder and right here on the stump. And any sort of weird alignment issues we can fix then. Alright, he is apparently praying. Alignment is just fine. Let's quick look at the back. Alright, B5 the head on top. Alright, not the best connection point, but pretty obvious if you look at the seam if you got it right or not. Let's set him aside and work on the next one. The lady holding the flower, man? It looks like she's holding something. Oh, no, she's not. I'm just bad at looking at things. All right. So my initial thought is to grab C4 and add C3 followed by C2 over here, but C2 might be kind of awkward to jam in here, so we'll see. That's still the order I think it's going to work. And then C1 last. C4 is first. Now let's just do C3 right over the top of it. There we go. Goes together just fine. Seam looks great. And I was wrong. She is, in fact, holding something. It is a rose that is just attached to the bit right here as opposed to her actual hand. All right. C2 next. I'll go on the shoulder socket and fill up this gap. Yeah, that was easy. Didn't need to worry about anything. Seam looks good. All right. Lastly, C1. Gonna go right here and attach to her chest as well. All right, she is all done. Now we can set her down and work on the last one. Just going to be the D bits. Let's add D2 and D3 together. And either we'll add D5 and D4 together and plop that on top, or if I see I can't do it that way, then we'll do like glue D4 to the whole thing, and then D5 to the whole thing. We will see. And regardless, we'll finish off with the hand and the snake coming out of the sleeve. Right, these two bits first. All right, here's D2, which is actually the front of our legs. Now let's add D3 to it. It's really hard to tell what the front and back is, but you can just say that this is her right hand, so now we're looking at the front. Let's go ahead and grab D4 and add D5 to it. There we go, have a torso and head. I'll just plop that on the legs. Okay, that is a successful plopping. Now we can do D1 at the right arm, which is going to fit right in here. Okay, that was honestly kind of weird. Really need to just get it in there and then move it around with a pokey stick. And then hope for the best, because it's not a real solid connection. The best thing I can say is then make sure that the arm is right up against this curve in the cloak, as well as it just going out this way and the snake being fairly upright. But check the render on the back of the box. Should also give you a good clue of how it's supposed to sit. But she's done, which means we're all done with the Keepside Strangers. The Keepside Strangers are done. Fairly simple models overall. The hardest part, I would say, is the left arm on the third one, the short lady holding the snake. That arm is just not going to fit in comfortably, I don't think. You really got to match the render on the box or match how I did it. But other than that, very simple, so an easy model. Alright, let's look at the whole box. The Strangerskeep box is done, containing the Strange Lady and the Keepside Strangers. A lot of you use some of the word strange. So, hardest parts, probably the Strange Lady's snakes and fingers just being very fragile and scary. In the left arm of the one Keepside Stranger holding the snake, and that's me kind of reaching for difficulty. The box overall is quite easy. I don't have any complaints. So I'm just going to leave it at that. I have been your foreman, Douglas Scoundrels, helping you build a better Malifaux. Stay strange.